All right. All right. I'll be back soon. Mm. There's a man that rides his buffalo every day to the market, ties it up, goes, does his shopping, and then returns home on the buffalo. And one day, he rides his buffalo into town. But when he gets there, he realises he's forgotten the rope to tie the buffalo up with. So he leads the buffalo to its normal place and then imagines tying up the buffalo. And the buffalo then thinks it's tied up and he wanders off into the market and does what he needs to do. And when he comes back, the buffalo is still there. And he gets on the buffalo and the buffalo refuses to leave. And the man, realising what's happened, goes through the motions of untying the buffalo. Of course, there's no rope. The buffalo sees this, gets up, and walks with the man home. You see, people think they're tied in a situation when they are not. They see life that it's a restriction when, in fact, they're totally free. You're kind of like the buffalo. You are totally free, unhindered by anything and everything. And yet you live according to imaginary restrictions. You think you can't, and therefore you can't. You think it's too hard, and therefore it's too hard. You think there's no happiness or no spirit, and that's right too. Well, it looks like it's right, and you live as if you are tied to the post of your beliefs, where the truth is you're incredibly capable. You're capable of doing pretty much everything. Well, within the restrictions of your body, I suppose. Yet you live as if you can't do anything. You chase a connection to spirit, but you've already got it. In fact, you like the obstacles to it more than you like the spirit connection. Otherwise, why would you have them? If you lived a day as if you were untied to the post and started looking at your life and seeing all the restrictions you put on yourself, if you just see them, I'm not saying change them, I'm saying be aware of them. Then you start to see how you've just believed that you're restricted, tied up, held back, not capable, devoid of spirit connection. So today's talk's going to be done in two different depths today. You got me in part of it to try and explain to you the simplicity, well, as clear as I can make it, the simplicity of, and Terry, love, would you write these words down, because this is the title we would like for this talk today. And you better tell him, you know what it's like, he might not see the title in your writing.
Yes, I know, I will.
Oh, thanks, love. This is to be called Why Your Life is the Way It Is. Now, so now I've got a nice little quote for you, which goes back a few years, but I think you'll like it. I've got a couple of messages as well. We're going to do the healing bit, and then we're going to do all the juicy stuff, if you know what I mean, all the words to try and get you clear, get you untied from the post. How's that? All right. So the quote today I'm going to throw your way is, it ain't that old. It ain't going back thousands of years or anything, fairly recent, but hope you like it. And it's this one. For as long as man thinks, he will have drama in his life and a need for religion. Actually, that was said by Vivekananda, Swami man. Likes a nice cup of tea on the veranda, I can tell you that now. Now that quote, if you can sit with it for a bit, is the essence of this talk. All the talks that we've done in this term on energy, also, in part at least, all the individual courses and groups where we've been looking at what's in the way of your true self. I'll say it again if you like. For as long as man thinks, he will have drama in his life and a need for religion. Now, I've got a couple of messages I've got to pass on. Clear the throat for effect. First one, Brandon, do you know the Lady Tamar? Well, can you please pass on to her that today's talk will be an inspiration that she is looking for the writing of her book. It'll come in just that opening story and also the talks to come later. And she can use it as inspiration or quote it, whatever she prefers. No need to give any credit. If you want, she can just say from the spooky folk or something that appeals to her. Anyway, the inspiration will be there for her throughout today. And the other one, I want to give a message to Suzanne, love. I think you're here, aren't you? And I want to give you the message because stories today, the one you've heard and one to come, said in a way which appeals to you. You are the storyteller, love, ain't you? And you do like your stories. And I want you to do a bit of thinking for me if you can. Ain't going to tax your brain too much. I'll come to the message in a minute. The thinking is, we started using stories a lot more prevalently in these talks around a month before you started to join this group or found your way to this group. There ain't no coincidence in that, love. And the second part, or the message part for you, is There is somebody around you beginning with the letter S, and I'm being discreet in case it's personal, nothing more than that. And that person will enjoy the stories, and they should be given to that person, or you should pass them on. Now, stories, do
Thank you so much. Yes, I will.
you understand, my dear?
Yes, I do. Thank you very, very much.
Now, stories, why are they different to lectures and talks? They seem to have a bit more of appeal, don't they? And the reason is that they don't talk to the mind, they talk to the heart, stories. And in the heart, the person or the one listening can live the story a little bit. And the story comes to life. And then the story is understood. And stories have been gone for, well, they've been told for millennia, haven't they? Thousands of years. One story's passed on to another, been very useful in all sorts of ways, passing on knowledge, giving direction of how to get from one place to another, learnings and spiritual understandings and things. Nice stories they are. And there's more about them over time. More another one today and more in the future. Anyway, let's carry on, eh? This is philosophy according to Charlie. Well, this is the healing bit, and healing according to Charlie today. So, Brandon, you got some names for us, have you?
Yes, I do, my friend. Let's start with George, Chantel and Meg, Jamie Dell, Carrie, Helen, Anna and Jerry, Maria and Ada, Barbara and Beth Cleaton, Sheila Wilson, Katie C., Nigel and Michelle Clark, Amanda and Craig, Teresa, Allison, Roberta and Jerry, Wendy C., Jason and Belinda, Caleb, Kath and Rod, Lorna, Melanie, Steve, Courtney, and Daniel. We thank you.
The one lady on that list, Maria, she's made it to our side, let me tell you. And we got her. You think to yourself, what's the point in sending healing to somebody that is in spirit now and not in physical at all? What's the point in all of that? Why would you bother? Well, and I've got to answer this generically rather than specifically about that one person. But when you transfer, transition, come on over, cross the bridge, kick the bucket, snuff it, whatever, you come to our side and there's much love and care and we do our bit, but of course, your first thoughts are towards your family, ain't they? You can imagine that. You think about them, I wonder what's gone on, and you may not even know you've snuffed it yet. What's happened? And of course, you need a bit of help understanding all of that, and that can take, it could take some months and years even for some people to say, hello, come on over, and they finally turn towards the light, and others it's instant, hop, skip and a jump. Anyway, so the thoughts are constantly back towards let's say your old life and your family and connections, no matter what the relationship was, good and bad. And by sending thoughts, love and healing, it actually awakens the love in the transition process. And as people come around the newly departed, people, I say spirit, then the spirit guide who's guiding them in that little part, the one meeting and greeting, the doorman, if you want, then shows back to that person, say, see, you are still loved. They'll be fine. And they feel the love quite strongly, and the love of memory, of thinking about those that have gone also helps a bit, you know, it helps, and you keep them kind of alive, even though they are not known by that name or body any longer. And that's rather a nice thing to do. You see, the bond of love is what pulls two people together and will bring mother and daughter, brothers, sisters, fathers, sons, of course, friends. When there's a bond of love, everybody loves, don't they? You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm doing my bit. Look, I've got my posh voice on today and I'm not rambling too much. Trying to keep it a bit even. Anyway, look, I'm going to get involved in what we've got to talk about, all right? Clear the throat, get myself sorted. Now, this is a very important talk. It's important for two things. The first thing is I'm doing it. What more important could you want than that? Second thing is this brings together some understanding and a whole term of 6 or 7 different talks. All right, this is the drum roll, spooky bit. Roll up, folks. Come and have a listen part of the whole term that you'll quite like, I think. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going first, and we'll get the other in next to do the deeper bit. But I'm going first, and I want to tell you the way your life becomes your life, if you know what I mean, and the way it's shaped and sized and congealed into one little package of panic at some stage for some people, and it full of trouble. Anyway, not always trouble, of course. Now, why is it? Why'd you do that? Why'd you do it to yourself? Why'd you tie yourself up to the post? Eh? Anyway, spoken in my way, my style, probably 90% too many words, but that's the point. And he'll come back and give you one sentence, probably, that will fix it all up for those wanting a bit of push their understanding a little bit wider for them folks. Why your life is your life. So I'm going to give you a story. The actual story, of course, is fictional, and why it would happen is probably doesn't really matter. The actual process is what's important, all right? So story first, a little bit of explanation after. All right. For some reason, the soul decides to have a particular experience. And for the sake of this story, the soul decides to build a house, a particular house. At least part of life's experience is the building of this house. So that's the plan. So the house then starts to be chosen, and the person picks, shall I build house number 1 or house number 2? And there's a gentle feeling inside that house number 1 should be the right house. Of course, that's the whisper of the soul. So the person sets about, makes a decision, and then does what needs to be done and puts plans in place to build house number one. Now, as he builds house number one, everything goes wrong. And the house ends up being built, well, let's say it's built upside down. All right, that's kind of nice and dramatic story, isn't it? So he has a vision of the house, decides to do it, puts plans in place after picking the one house he likes, and when it's built, it's not quite to the way he thought it was going to be. And a person then steps back from this strange looking house and says, well, I either like it or I don't like it. That's a bit in his mind, even though it's a bit different to what he thought. He could like it, or even if it was exactly the way he thought, he may not like it. So he's got a choice, hasn't he? He either likes it or he don't like it. And that's purely the way he thinks about the house, isn't it? Eh? Now, maybe you haven't built a house and it's been upside down. But think about it with your life. All right, change the word house into something else. There we go. That's the end of the story, and that's why your life's your life. You want me to explain it, don't you? All right. Well, the soul decides on the experience, and it picks the experience it wants. And he nudges and whispers and keeps the human on track to do the activity that it needs to be done. And that particular house, if you want, that's what it wanted. So there we have then the plan. And then as soon as it comes into, let's call it the human world, there is the desire to build the house. Then there is the play of karma, where the house was going to go one way and things just didn't work out. Karma kind of gets in the way and stuffs everything up a little bit. Well, it can be on a negative way, but it can also make it positive as well. It doesn't have to be everything goes wrong. It could be everything works out luckily, just the same. So we got desire, we got karma, and then the house is finished. And then the mind of the person either likes or dislikes, and now we have ego. The ego in the mind then either causes, let's exaggerate again, causes love of the new house, or the falls in a high heap and cries in the corner feeling about the new house. The love or hate, the like or dislike. Now, I hope I've painted, well, a little bit crazy picture, but one you'll understand. So your life is the way your life is. Your soul has a plan. Karma shuffles it up a bit. And then your ego says it's good or bad. Now, the pain the person feels is actually not when the house goes wrong, because it could go wrong and be better, couldn't it? The pain the person feels is the mind. It's in the mind. The mind says it's good, or the mind says it's bad, whichever one. So likes and dislikes are available to you in just a flick of a switch. You could say, well, even though it's not one I thought, My house is upside down, got the roof on the floor and the foundations where the roof should be. I kind of like it. It's a strange fellow, this one in the example, but he's a bit weird. Kind of relate to him a little bit, but anyway. So he's got this upside down house and he's decided to like it. And he lives in it exactly the way it is. Now anybody else, right? Anybody else would have rang up the police or the lawyers or something and said, "Can you believe this man who's built my house?" And then there's craziness and there's drama and there's pistols at dawn if you want, and let's have a bit of a punch up in the pub. And then there's months and years of pain and drama and trouble and difficulty, and one person said this and one person said that, and typical of my life, everything goes wrong. You see, the man, when he first saw his upside down house, well, if he liked it, all well and good. And if he didn't like it, he could have dealt with that with peace in his heart. He could have gone to see the builder and says, "Nice try, mate. Thank you very much. But we got a little bit of a problem. How can we sort it out?" You see, with that way, then the karma that's created in future life is a bit more one of peacefulness, isn't it? The rest of that life's karma, or what will flow into other lives, is one of a bit more anger. You got a choice, ain't you? So you're all going to have, because karma's a wonderful thing. It bites you on the bum every 5 minutes, ruffles your hair just as you're going out looking good. But karma is your investment in the future. And that's your payback karma. What you do today, you're investing in your karma for tomorrow. So do you want to build a house that's upside down or don't you? Do you want to build a life that's nice and easy, full of peace and love, or don't you? See, the spiritual way ain't running around punching people on the nose or expecting life to be built the right way up. It's about the way you deal with your problems today. What about this? What about this nice little Charlie learning lesson number 101 for you? How about this? Write this down, big capital letters, underline it. You got red pen, put it in red. Only joking. As you go through your life and things come to you, you can say to yourself, how can I work with this? There you go. There you go. That's clear, isn't it? What I mean is, well, when your house comes built upside down, you can say, well, how can I use this to my benefit or best expression of myself? When I say benefit, I mean spiritual benefit, not hip pocket benefit. So when your guitar strings breaks right in the middle of something, remember the Charlie, you got a choice in your mind right now. How can I use this for my spiritual betterment or expression? And the truth is, you might decide to wiggle and a jiggle it and play it a different way. Or you may say, stop. That's karma from ages ago. Don't need to create no more. Peacefully change me string and let's carry on. Rather than smashing your guitar against the wall, that don't do nobody any good. The guitar has a headache at the end of the day as well. All right. Spoken to you by Charlie in its simplest form. Carol. The world that you see in front of you now is a reflection of your desires and the karma that you have inherited. It comes from your memory and the mind. What you achieved before is now being laid bare at your feet. The mind is where the memory lies, but it is also where the ego can be found. And the ego then, because of its nature of comparison, will create a duality of life. And living from an untamed mind will mean that you either get pleasure or pain, good or bad, fear or unconditional. And so the movie of life is projected onto the screen. The desire and the karma create the play that you see in front of you. And you sit in the audience saying, I like or I do not like this movie or this hero. But if you were to step back and become aware that the life that you see in front of you is within the mind rather than within the reality, why would you create more illusion and problem? So if you wish to step away from this illusory world, there is a stillness of mind that is required. The mind then opens, rather than being trapped within, well, within a personality. An open mind means the flow of truth can be found. So let us go back to Vivekananda's quote. And let's look at it in the opposite way. So long as a man thinks, there'll be drama and a need for religion. By stilling the mind, there is peace and truth. And if you remember going back some time, the analogy of the clear diamond, this quote, of course, reflects back to that. To the life you are living is no more because it is a reflection of what you have created. The karma that arises, maybe from a long time ago, but when you respond to it with a peaceful heart, that karma does not need to come back again. And you have converted drama into peace. So there is an example, forgive me, there is an exercise that you may wish to see if what I am saying is true or not. Now, you may pick one of two ways to experience this exercise. And one of the groups which I am working with is experiencing one version of this. So the choices for you are: before you, let us say, tackle a certain appointment, be as angry as you can on the inside. Shout this person you are about to meet on the inside. Imagine doing them damage and harm, either with your body or your words. Or your second choice is to feel the light within you before you meet that person. And go to your appointment full of light. Now, of course, the examples are rather dramatic, and I am sure there'll be few of you that will pick the first option. I would recommend that you did not, but see what happens, if you wish. But you can see from these examples how different the two appointments would be. Well, one will mean that at a future date, your house would be built upside down. And the other will mean that if your house was built upside down, there'll still be peace in your heart to deal with it. So let us go back to the first story of the buffalo that believed it was tied. Your life can be an expression of that freedom. Or it can be an expression of restriction. You can believe in your doubt and your fears, your obstacles, your difficulties, your pains, but they are no more than a projection onto the screen of life. Or you can step back. Step one step back. And as the drama comes, how can I work with this? So if you are insulted at that time, and if you feel the insult within your being, you know then it is registered something that is true, or you perceive to be true. That person has just pointed out something you are attached to. Ah, that's what I must work with. I thank you, my friend. The ego creates duality, and therefore duality is only in the mind. It is not true. So next week, we will also open ourselves to questions that you may have regarding anything spiritual. Perhaps to do with your life or circumstance. All personalities will be present then. And as we've said before, you can pick a personality, or we will pick a personality to match either your question or to you. But you will have the choice at the beginning. Some talk, some question. Today's format is meant to be simple for some or clear for some, a little more complex, but still the same story for others. But then also the last words to push the understanding further. And those words were, duality is created within the mind and therefore cannot be true. If you would like a deeper exploration, sit with that and find out if my words are true or not. What does it mean then? If that is true, what does it mean? What isn't it saying? And you'll see this within your life. There is a final message from myself. And this person will listen to the recording. Kripa, stand between the temples or the columns of Apollo, and I will meet you there. God bless you all. Until next week. Let peace be within your heart first, not pain. God bless you all. There you go.